Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us today for getting the most out of data and AI in your firm. My name is John Mitchell, and I'm with my friend Darren Root. We're going to have a good discussion, Darren.
Yes, John, I'm looking forward to it. This is actually one of my favorite topics right now because, when you look at most accounting firms, they're kind of a data mess. It's like
That's a technical
data
term?
is scattered all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a new technical term. Webster's is thinking about a dictionary thing for it. But, I look back at, John, when I was running my firm, and data was everywhere. It was on paper, it was in digital files, it was in different software applications. Data was kind of everywhere. And I guess at some level, we didn't think a lot about it because this imminence of artificial intelligence wasn't, like sitting there.
Yeah, right.
But today we're living in a completely different world, don't you think?
Yeah, I think about it, Darren. It feels like I'm a big podcast guy, and almost every podcast I listen to, no matter the genre, involves an AI conversation at some point. It's just permeated our culture. And whether the conversation is around, are we going to still have the same number of jobs we had? Or is AI going to take my job? Or it's, how can I do better with the efficiencies in my company using AI? It's inundated our culture. And I think part of what we want to do today is like bring this clarity and maybe take the emergency down a level to say that maybe even if you're not using AI in your firm right now, that there are some things you can do to be prepared. And that's really where we want to talk about data today.
Yeah, I think this is a conversation about getting ready.
Yeah.
I think as we think about what AI can do for our organizations, I see the efficiencies that can be gained internally, John. And I also see the ability to better serve our clients because of information that gets served up to us and making it easier to make a client's life better. But, this all starts with having data organized inside your firm. In another episode of the series, John, we talked about the two halves of your firm.
Right.
One half being, the firm-wide operating system. And, that's where Canopy really comes in. The more you can get rid of the point solutions and get your data centralized and organized, I think the better able you're going to be to leverage AI, especially for like, what are my clients buying from me? Are we maximizing our profits? How's my staff producing? How do I onboard a new client? All that kind of stuff will come out of the firm-wide operating system. And then on the other side, the production side of the business, making sure your client accounting solutions are very organized, along with your payroll solution and your tax solution. So you can get the best out of AI through the data inside your entire firm.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about data inside a firm right now is it just feels so low priority to most firms. And I think part of what we want to do with this today is raise the level of priority. And that doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of time and energy on it. What it means is you have to be intentional about your tech stack. You have to create a tech stack that will help you gather, aggregate, and report on the data around your firm. When it gets troublesome for a firm is when it becomes such a low priority that it becomes secondary to everything you're doing, and it just becomes a mess. I think you've already coined the term in this episode that mess really creates chaos in your firm that isn't needed. And if you're using AI now, you'll be using the data now. But if you aren't right now, you will be really glad that you have aggregated your data in a way that makes sense for the future.
Yeah, John, I don't even know if it's low priority or or not a priority. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's not even on the list.
I'm not sure that it's on the list. And I think one of the things that we want to do today is make sure it's on the list and it actually moves up in the list. And the way you do that is by starting to think about how data is organized inside of your firm, right? And a lot of that data today lives inside of technology solutions.
Yeah.
Whether it's your document management solution or your client communication solution, or your client accounting solutions. The data lives inside of those tools, those technologies. And what we're saying today, this is like a tech stack conversation.
Yeah.
Tech stack does impact data structure and
Yeah.
data organization. So I want to kind of bring that back to the front here.
Yeah. The other place that data lives in your firm, besides your tech stack, is in the heads of your team. We know that there is data inside of your firm that isn't quantifiable in your current tech stack. And part of what I love about the Canopy tool, Darren, is that it gives a place in the client management portion of the tool, gives this place for your team to take that data that's in their head that is so hard to get out unless you have a place to put it. And this is really a cultural issue. Darren, you know how much I love to talk about culture. The collective beliefs and behaviors in your firm is what your culture is. You have one whether you know it or not. And part of creating an intentional tech stack is creating a culture of your team to say, this is what we do with data here. This is a representation of our clients, which is one of the highest priorities, the most valuable things in our firm. And we have to take that data that's in your head right now that nobody else knows about and put it into a client management, a CMS solution that allows our firm to be able to get the most out of it.
So, John, I think we've set up this idea that organizing your data is critically important, and that's impacted by the tech stack that you have, and then getting the information out of the heads of your team. What I'd love to do is hop into a bit of an interview that you and I are going to do.
Yeah, let's take a moment and just hear it straight from the people who are closest to it, and you'll get a little chance to see inside their heads and their hearts for what this tool looks like.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this conversation with Davis and Shane. Darren and I are really excited to get these guys time. Not easy to get them all in one place. So, guys, thank you for joining us. Excited to get a chance to talk to you just a little bit about AI and the technology that Canopy's bringing to it. Let's start. Davis, would you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hey, so I'm Davis Bell. I'm the CEO of Canopy and super excited to be here with you guys.
Shane Westra, so glad to be here. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Canopy, and so working on roadmap and everything like that.
And you guys know Darren and I have been walking you through the conversation around AI. Darren, these guys are good friends and really smart guys. I'm excited to get a chance to talk to them.
Absolutely. There's just so many incredible things happening with AI right now. It's actually sort of mind-boggling. So this is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, let's start. And I think, Shane, let's start with you. When you think about AI right now and all the places it is, Darren and I just talked about how it seems like every podcast you're on, no matter what genre, it ends up back to AI at this point, ChatGPT and all those things. When you think about AI, what kinds of things do you see firms using AI for currently? What kinds of softwares, what other pieces do you see firms bringing in when it comes to AI?
Yeah, great question. And totally agree. It's everywhere. Everywhere you look and listen, it's currently being brought up everywhere. And a lot of the ways that it's being used currently is for generative use cases, especially for emails, being able to generate that content. It's pretty common in translation of those to kind of, if you're working with people speaking a different language, a lot of applicability with reporting. And I think this is just scratching the surface. There's just so much automation that will be unlocked through AI going forward.
Davis, as Shane was saying, it's kind of everywhere. As we think about the firm operating system, though, the way I'm sort of seeing this, tell me if I have this wrong, but Intuit has their accounting platform. They're going to be surfacing some level of AI, generative AI out of that. ADP is going to do their thing with their data. You guys have a lot of data in and around the firm operating system, which is everything that interacts with the client and then all the stuff in the back office. How are you seeing AI playing a big part in what Canopy is going to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the thing that I think it's important to remember is that AI is best and most powerful when it has context. So I think, think of sort of two different kinds of AI. One would be a generic AI, ChatGPT being the most famous, right? And ChatGPT has a lot of general context because they've trained it on, everything on the internet and
Right.
all kinds of other sources of media and data. So that's going to have, think about that as just, that everyone has that friend who's good at trivia, right? You want to take him to the bar for trivia night, and they can tell you who the, seventh king of England was. Then there's sort of like a second kind of AI, which I think is a very focused, applied AI and it only gets that way if it has context, right? So if you think about that smart friend who knows a lot about everything, but then you went and let them read, your family tree or your journals, or you let them go really deep on a given topic that was germane to you, then obviously, you can turn to that friend and say, well, what happened in my family tree in the year, 1743, and they're going to be able to answer that. And so I think that's how we're thinking about it. There's going to be a lot of platforms that are going to leverage AI. But I think the ones that are going to create the most value are those that have the most context. And given that Canopy is a firm-wide operating system, it's going to have the most context and the most important context on a firm and how a firm operates.
If I'm running a firm today and my data is sort of scattered in lots of different places, I've got some stuff, time and billing and workflow and things in a legacy software solution that may be on-prem. And I've got some things in maybe an engagement solution somewhere. And then there's a document management solution that may or may not be on-prem or in the cloud. So I have these things. And what I'm hearing you guys say is getting all of that data in one place in a tool like Canopy, where you guys can then create the AI tools to leverage that into real efficiencies inside of a firm is really the thing that should be happening right now. Is you should be thinking about this right now. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I think if you imagine whatever benefits currently exist to sort of having an all-in-one solution, I think they're going to be exponentially greater with AI as AI gets leveraged into that system. Because again, to your point, the AI is going to take advantage of context, right? So humans took advantage of context too, right? But the AI is just going to be really, really good at that.
Yeah.
So but it can't learn, it can't surface, it can't provide all this information if it doesn't have access to it, and if the information is sort of walled off in a bunch of different silos. So I think that there's always been benefit to having an all-in-one system around price and data talking to each other and one phone call and one bill to pay, all that stuff. But I think that benefit is going to be dramatically greater in this new kind of AI era.
This may be too aggressively for me to ask, Shane, but what do you see as the low-hanging fruit right now for AI as it relates to Canopy in your roadmap?
Oh, great question. It's something we do have some great plans on, and maybe just quick mention on what we do already. Kind of the generative email that we have, language translation, document scanning, and parsing, a little bit of that, and natural language search. As Data was talking about, aggregating the data and the value that all the one solution has. We've kind of built that into our product already, and so building upon those, making it better. But then a few new areas as well, because overall we aim to have 100%, 200%, 500% factor of efficiency improvement for practitioners. That's really what we're aiming for. We don't want just incremental improvements. We want to aim for really big game-changing ideas here. So some examples include a lot around documents. There's so much time that practitioners waste today, either tracking them down, once they get them, analyzing them, reviewing them, organizing, renaming. There's no reason that AI cannot do all of that and just make it super simple. And going back to the client interactions, There's no reason why AI can't just understand, okay, what do we need from the client? Send out the messages, send out the reminders, and evaluate the inputs that are coming back with the data that we still need. And if we need something else, send that out. Again, no reason that a practitioner should ever have to do any of that type of work. And there's a lot of internal use cases as well. If you think of the practitioner finding just anything within either Canopy or a similar system, right? Just how much volume of data there is. And so having a very smart interface where you can just ask, like, hey, where's this client document? What's the contact information for this individual here? Pull up a client record, set a reminder, set a note, assign tasks. Those are all things that AI can and should help us with. The way we think about it is this perfectly efficient assistant that you've always dreamed of, somebody that has photographic memory, pure context of everything that's ever happened within your firm, that can do anything and work 24/7. There's just so much advantages there to make everything work efficiently. That just frees up the practitioner to do the more qualitative work, and to have that human connection with their clients, whether it's advisory or other services that are just really taking advantage of the stuff that the practitioners went to school for and kind of their expertise and knowledge that they love using.
It's a little hard to get your head around, all the capabilities that generative AI is going to sort of empower the firm owner with, because so many firm owners, guys, right now haven't even leveraged the power of OCR. Yeah. So, on a scale of 0 to 10, they haven't even started taking advantage of, reading a document. And the idea, Shane, that you can go from reading a document and then asking a question or surfacing information or creating intelligence around a document and then creating an action out of that. The efficiencies that come out of that are so tremendous. I think about that from a practitioner's perspective. It's incredible. But most firms can't picture how that plays itself out inside of their more modern firm today. So I really appreciate that description, because I think that's what firms have to start trying to get their head around. And then that makes the need to change into a more modern firm-wide operating system just more necessary right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And I think that change will be easier than anticipated, because at least the approach we're taking is to just embed it with the workflows that they're doing anyway. So it's not like they need to learn some really advanced tool. It's actually quite the opposite. We're making complicated things more easy. And I love that you brought up OCR, Darren, because, I think a lot of those technologies kind of got you 60% of the way, but that almost wasn't worth it, because then it still had to deal with the other 40%. Whereas we believe AI will be such a game-changing technology that it allows people to adopt it just because it is so simple, and it will remove complete steps in the processes and automate others. And just kind of an analogy that I like to think about, I've got some friends that live in northern Brazil, and the territories were so difficult to lay landlines. And so nobody had a telephone. But then suddenly with cell phone towers were a lot easier to prop up. And then suddenly everyone has a cell phone, and they just kind of skipped a whole phase of normal technological advancement. And I think that's what AI will do for the accounting industry.
Yeah. Davis, the word I hear all the time is we lack capacity in every firm. Firms seem to completely lack capacity. And this feels like it's a capacity enhancer, right? It's going to allow them to do so much more with less, because it seems like it's getting harder and harder to find, more talent. But, and the work volume seems to be there. So this seems like in some respects, it's going to be a bit of an equalizer for a firm.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a meme that made me laugh. It was something to the effect of, I don't want AI to make music and poetry and leave me cleaning the bathroom. I want AI to clean the bathroom so I can, make music and poetry. And I think the beautiful thing within accounting context is sort of the opposite is true, right? Where AI isn't yet at the point and I don't think it will be the first sometime, and maybe not ever, we don't really know, to where it can truly be strategic and do the things that a truly strategic value add accountant can do, right? Who can sit down with Darren and with John and say, let's think about your business, and let's think about your personal life, and let's think about your wealth and your taxes and your financial planning, your succession plan. Like, it's just not there. And I think it's a ways out if it ever gets there. But what it is good at is taking care of the things that where a lot of that capacity gets wasted, right? If you think about uploading a document, entering a document, and from this program to that program, messaging a client, reminding them that they're missing something, answering very basic questions, that's so much of an accountant's day, and it's just kind of a waste, right? It's not. It's just very low value add. So I think that I'm excited. It will address the capacity problem, but it will address it, I think, in the right way, where it will take away the menial kind of life draining, time sucking tasks off the plate of folks and free them up to go do that. Where, hey, you're a smaller client, I might not have been able to sit down and give you the full sort of service offering, because I just didn't have time for it. Didn't make sense economically. And now I think that you'll increasingly be able to do that.
Really appreciate the way that you guys have built the software with people in the middle, and allowing firms to put their clients in the center. And really appreciate you guys being on.
Yeah, you bet. Our pleasure.
Thank you guys for being here. Darren, it was good to hang with them. You guys get back to work. We're excited about what's coming.
We got to go put a bunch of AI in Canopy. So we'll
all right. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you soon.
You guys.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, fantastic conversation. And I think as you're thinking about sort of the data inside your firm and the tech stack that you're going to implement or have implemented, understanding where each of your vendors are going in the future is critically important. So it was fantastic to talk to Shane and hear what the Chief Product Officer really has in mind.
Yeah, I hope you see your firm different after this episode. That when you go back to your firm and you just look out over the team, you see the data. You see the importance of gathering that data, whether it's coming from your tech solution or whether it's in the heads of your team. And man, check out Canopy as a place to really aggregate and leverage that data to the best of its ability.